So, in our cladogram, all of our animals are related to a reptilian-like ancestor, who is also descended from a vertebrate. The first thing we should note that branched off were snake-like creatures, which also branched off because of gradualism into an ashwinder and basilisk, though they resemble each other in structure.
And we have two rough groups. This group is for human or humanoid creatures, and that group is for dragons and more wild beasts.
And so the other side of this to branch off was four-limbed creatures, who became dragons and humans. So the dragons evolved to have scales and wings. And so here the ones who don't breathe fire are the Hebridean black and Peruvian viper tooth, which are separated because of geographical isolation, where the Hebridean black is mainly from islands and the Peruvian viper tooth is around Latin America, and it has very sharp fangs. Now then, the fire-breathing dragons, so they also branched out because of geographical isolation. So we have some from Eastern Europe, which are the Hungarian horntail and Ukrainian iron belly. The Ukrainian iron belly diverged from the Ukrainian horntail, or Hungarian horntail, sorry, because through mutations and natural selection, it evolved to become bipedal. And then another geographically isolated animal was the Antipodean opali, which is generally in New Zealand and can be found in their valleys. And then last of the dragons are the phoenix and the Chinese fireball, which are separated because the phoenix evolved feathers.
And on the other hand, when we have a common ancestor of four limbs, they took another route and they developed humanoid creatures which began as dogs, which could be domesticated like a krupp, and they look very much like a terrier except for the fact that they have a tail, two tails actually. So we believe that it looks like this because they're domesticated and went through the process of artificial selection, and it's intended by human beings or wizards, I should say. And also, we have tail aberrances here. One is for the krupp, one is for the scorpion tails for the manticore.
Along the line of the first mammalian animals on this cladogram, they developed hooves, though the krupp and manticore lost them and developed paws. The manticore was separated by the krupp. Well, besides being domesticated, it developed dragon wings and a scorpion tail.
And on the other hand, we have fur covering the creature's body and keeping them warm instead of scales. And also, the unicorn, which is sort of the outgroup member of everything of this.
It was the first horse-like creature to branch off and become its own sort of species on this cladogram. It developed a unicorn horn, and although it's born golden, eventually the hair starts to become very pure white, but the hooves remain golden until it dies.
And up to here, I think we have a common ancestor that developed feathers, and that's the reason we have thestrals and hippogriff. They have wings and they can fly, but on the other hand, they retain the characteristics of being four-limbed.
However, the hippogriff, it developed front talons to replace its front hooves, and a beak, which it makes it similar to the phoenix, although they're analogous structures, so they aren't very closely related.
And on the far end of this, we have more humanoid characteristics starting.
When it developed a torso and opposable thumbs, it branched off first to form the centaur, which is another horse-like creature, which is fairly intelligent. And then further up the list, they became bipedal and lost all of their hooves.
That's how we get the airplane, which is smaller than a gnome, and it developed plant mimicry to make it look like a plant, and it lived in a dark forest, so that would actually help its survival. And then I think from here we have a disruptive selection of a humanoid mass. So we have a small group and a very large group. The large group's representative is the Yeti, which lives on the mountains and obviously had to have a great quantity of fur to keep them warm, and that's why they look like this. So further off, they have a hair loss and a gain of intelligence, which we believe to be greatly correlated, and that's how we formed human.
These are actually the most intelligent creatures on the whole cladogram.
Yeah. And up here, from the way of plant mimicry and in the gardens, we have the leprechaun and the gnome. The gnome and the Urklings, they are geologically separated because the gnome lives underground and they live on roots, while the Urklings and the leprechauns sort of live up, like on the ground in the forest. And that's all we have.